Hello and welcome to another episode of Sense of You. So last week we had Alexander Siddig, the actor. This week we have someone rather interesting to chat to about their favourite experiences in the five senses: sight, taste, touch, smell, and sound. He is kind of known as a sort of mentalist, I guess you would say, a showman. He has had several shows on Channel 4. He is an author. He's an amazing painter, which I have seen his paintings and his work, just amazing. He's got another book coming out soon, which is called A Book of Secrets. He's going on tour again. Thank God, COVID is over now, so he's going on tour again with the show Showman. His previous shows, Enigma, Svengali, always sold out all over the world. And he's been on Broadway, which is amazing. He's been on Broadway. And one of the few people I know who has been on Broadway. With their own show. So what I would like to do is,
it's
hello.
Just too much. It's too much. It's embarrassing.
Oh yeah, well, you have achieved quite a lot. So welcome, Derren Brown, everybody. That's not here.
Hi.
It's a virtual thing. So welcome.
Hi.
And
we've got quite similar backdrops actually.
Yeah, well, I put this up especially for you.
Me too.
This is just. Yeah, mine does that. Yours doesn't do that.
Also, I've moved to the country, so I'm quite enjoying real life animals that move and fly and tweet. Like on the other side of this window, there's a bird feeder, and I'm going to have to fire him though. an actual bird feeder, and so these blue tits are coming, and they're like a woodpecker. There's a woodpecker that started coming every day. So
now, is it the green one or the red and white one?
It's the red and white one. I've got the red hairs. Beautiful and quite sort of shy, but it does the proper, woodpeckery thing. So that's quite nice. Actual real animals are.
That's really cool. I've seen the red one. We had one on our bird feeder a long time ago, but I've never seen a green one. That's one of my ambitions. Like
my mum's got a green one. My mum's got a green one on her bird feeder.
Oh,
I don't know if that helps.
Oh well, give me her address. I'll pop round. Have a cup of tea.
Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's like global warming or Brexit or something that that would, because you don't. I'm surprised to see. I'm surprised to see most animals in the country, because like you don't even see ants in the city, and then suddenly we come here and there's an ant's nest in the cupboard. And
lovely.
I have woodlice come in from the garden every night, like about 6 o'clock. They're quite inoffensive. And I go out to the corridor, like, hello, girls. And they're all like, so yeah, that's
lovely.
Odd.
Yeah, the joys of living in the country. Yeah,
the joys.
I'll stay where I am at the moment. Thank you. Well, thank you for doing this. And so people are aware, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the five senses, and for you, a special one at the end.
Yes.
And you're going to explain to us your three favourite choices in each of the senses. And explain why those are your three favourite choices. And one of them, which we won't tell anybody yet, but one of them in each of the category is your number one favourite. Yeah. And that is what people are trying to guess. Which of the three is your desert island choice of the things? So we'll jump straight in and we'll go with the first category, and I'll pick them at random so that there's no thing. So we're going to go with taste first. And the first one, which I thought was quite sweet, I thought you'd go with whiskey, but you didn't. You chose extra dry martini with a twist.
Yeah. So, I've always loved whiskey, and more recently I've kind of turned to rum. So I couldn't quite bring myself to go for whiskey, but then rums I don't quite know. I don't really know enough about them, and but what I do know is that a really good, like painfully, brutally dry martini, which for those that don't care or know about such things, that basically means like no vermouth, or just the tiniest, waving it in the next room, kind of the tiniest thing, or washing the ice. That's what I do. So you've got your shaker and you pour a little bit a shot of vermouth into the ice, and you mix it around, and then you chuck it out. You keep the ice, but you chuck the vermouth out. So now you've got ice with just a hint of the vermouth in it, and then you put your vodka in that. It's a vodka martini, and stir, ideally, not shake, although I tend to shake at home because it's a little sort of easier and lazier, and that's it. So and then the lemon zesty bit too. I love that. And if you can get a really crisp, the right sort of vodka, I think that's a gorgeous thing. So that's sort of my go to it, like slice the back of the throat, like crisp. That's a beautiful thing. But yeah, below that, I mean, certainly the opposite, a kind of a warm, sweet rum. I think I've generally got quite a sweet taste when it comes to drinks, so maybe that's why the martini stands out, and that it's not really a sweet drink.
And do you have is there a particular vodka that
A
works?
particular vodka. My favorite at the moment is, I quite like one called Reyka, Reyka. I quite like that. It's got an ever so slightly licoricey tang. I like Connick's Tail, which I think is actually a British vodka, which is unusual. But yeah, and you feel very urbane, like it's a very urbane thing, isn't it? And it allows you to use the word urbane as well when
Yes.
when describing yourself. So yes, and also you get to you I think the world of the martini glass is, I should have one here to show you. I don't
Oh.
there's not always one to hand, but like a really nice because there's that sort of
Yeah.
touch. There's a bit naff. So I always quite like the sort of just fancy shape. You can just explore and find martini glasses to suit your moods.
So it's a whole world that I'm unaware of.
I had a good drinking story the other. Like, I'm not particularly a big drinker, but I'm going to pass this on because I probably shouldn't. So it was somebody who knows or knew the royal family quite well, and she said that it was a very common thing that some members of the royal family. This is going back a little bit. This isn't current. But when showing guests around the palace would have their sort of gin and tonic or martini with them, and it was a standard thing that they'd get to like a window, right, and there'd be pot plants and then the window, and they would show the guests the view, and they would switch their drink out for another one that was ready in the pot plant because they're apparently all a bit heavy drinkers in the palace. So this was a common thing, and it was someone's job to go around and leave the drink in the pot plants next to the window. I really hope it's true, and from the person I heard would know. So
Wow.
It's as far as I'm concerned, that is gospel, and you heard it.
Wow, that is
Isn't it?
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
No. If
Imagine
that is literally
the
their
white
only
gloves
job.
and the yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Get in there, hide
What
it.
do you do?
Yes. Oh, that's very cool. So, and just another question about the martini is there a specific time of day that's the perfect time for a dry martini?
Well, before the cornflakes, obviously. I'm not one for pouring it on. Oh yeah, no, clearly an evening drink. I'm really not. Like, I don't drink, like, even two glasses of wine I find uncomfortable. Like, I like a glass of wine. More than that, I'm not. Just start to get a bit, not really. So it would be it's a kind of like watching telly, not every night, but it's just like it's been a long day, maybe quite a hot day, and it's all kind of it's like a nice little treat. And I've got all my like sort of cocktail stuff lined up. Basically, I make two cocktails very well: the martini and an old fashioned. And that it was a bit of a fight. So an old fashioned is a very sweet kind of it's basically bourbon and a little bit of bitters, and maple syrup is very good. So classically use a sugar lump, but maple syrup, very nice. And again, a bit of a spritz of orange zest, and then you can smoke it if you're fancy like I am. You get a cloche thing and a smoking gun.
What?
And it is a smoking gun, not a smoking gun, but a smoking gun is a world of difference. Okay. So it's a smoker. You put some like hickory bits in one end and you light it, and there's a tube that comes out. They're on Amazon, and it smokes. So you can put drinks, cheese, anything you like in the domed thing or under a bowl or wherever you're feeding the
bacon.
The tube to bacon. You could do it with bacon. Let's see why not. But it's really it's very nice for drinks. So I would really heartily recommend that. They're easy to make. Substitute the sugar for maple syrup. Smoke it if you can, but it's perfectly nice without. And that is also a very, very delicious drink. But for some reason, when you were asking me to make that decision, I must have been in a martini mood and went for the martini.
There we go, in a martini mood. Yeah. That's lovely.
Urbane.
Well, thank you.
I was feeling urbane.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the one. The urbane tipped it over the edge there for you. So to go with the drink that you give me, the other thing you mentioned is actual food, which is really good. And very specifically, you've chosen good Italian food with friends.
Yes.
And you love Italian and can offer apparently a great carbonara recipe.
Yeah. So I realize it's not a specific take. Well, the carbonara is, but the Italian food with friends. I love Italian food, and that's my go-to sort of cooking. I like cooking, and I make a lot of Italian food, and a lot of pasta in my project to put on weight during lockdown. I've focused mainly on carbohydrates, so that's been a good go-to. But I think nothing tastes better than that's a big flask. Were you hoping like you were just going to cut to me at that point while you took a big
No, that's my
big swig?
that's my tea.
So I was taken aback. I was just caught that one peripherally. Wasn't sure what I was looking at. So what are we talking about? Italian food, yeah. So love Italian food. Love Italian food. And there's nothing better than sitting around. It's the dream, isn't it? It's that kind of, it's the Woody Allen scene, that thing that really never happens in real. It's the kind of sitting around passing food, passing plates of tomato sauce and pasta, and generally kind of like friends talking over shared food. That's a really special thing, I think. So generally, most Italian food is a hit with me. So that seemed to be the.
Do you have? I mean, this is quite an interesting question in itself, and it's the one, it's one of those like card questions. Is favorite dinner guests? Do you have that? A list of like, alive or dead?
Friends, dinner with friends is one thing, right? Top of the list of most things. Just that's a really beautiful thing. The dinner party scenario, I hate dinner parties. I just hate them, and I'm always being asked, which is ironic because I hear quite a lot from people that I'm on their list of dinner party. You don't want me. You do not want me again. I don't know what to say to people. That's horrible. So I do not. I would rather cut off my balls with blunt bacon scissors than have a dinner party. I mean, at mine it's all right because I guess I could invite people I like, but going to other people's is horrendous. So it's partly I get a bit shy with sort of people I don't know that well, or I get easily a little bit intimidated by them. So there's a bit of that. So the idea of actually being around sort of, great artists and writers and figures from history or heroes would just be a living nightmare. There's that thing of stars shine most brightly from a distance. And I think, I don't know if you've had this, but generally speaking, the people I've met that I've admired, I generally wish I hadn't met them. And it's not that they're horrible or unpleasant, but you sort of like, if you read someone's, like there's I don't know, let's say a singer or a writer, and you're sort of like, oh, they're quite whiny, but you quite enjoy that. You think, well, I'm a little bit whiny, so I'm sure if we'd meet, that would be great because we'd be the same. We'd be the same, so we'd be great friends. And you meet them, like, oh, that's a bit whiny, and then you don't, and then you wish you hadn't met them because then it's very hard to then go back to the work, and oh yeah, he's really sort of unapologetic. Like his writing is so unapologetic, and I love that. He speaks his mind. And then you meet him, and it's just rude. Like he was really unpleasant. I wish I hadn't met him. So I've just learned to sort of avoid that urge. So no, the dinner party thing is an absolute no for me. In terms of the who would you have? But what I would have is friends. Love that.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to put you through that trauma. Obviously, it's that you've experienced.
I was offloading a little. Yeah.
It's therapy. It's all good.
You're always asked. It is, as you sort of hinted at yourself. It's one of those questions, isn't it? And for some reason, in the public eye, you do get asked that a lot. Who would your favorite dinner party guest would be?
And absolutely, I know for a fact because it's a question I've asked, and you absolutely are on the top of a lot of people's lists.
Am I? Oh, that'd be so disappointing. But that's exactly it. I would be really disappointing. So that I am proof of my own theory that you should never meet anybody you want to meet like that.
And so to finish this off, the carbonara recipe specifically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This is right. This is worth knowing. This is good. This is the good stuff. So there's a recipe in New York, a restaurant in New York City called Crispo's. It's kind of a terrible name for a restaurant, Crispo's, and it's on, I think it's like 14th Street or something, sort of Chelsea area. And anyway, they do the most phenomenal carbonara, and I just couldn't believe it. when I was there. Couldn't work out how they made it. And then one day I found the recipe, and it was in, I think, something like GQ. They had done an interview with the owner of Crispo's, because I think he has a few restaurants, and he'd given this recipe. So I'm going to pass this on, but it's not mine. It's very, so normal carbonara. First of all, there's the terrible carbonara you get in, you know, pizza restaurants, which is like this sort of creamy white thing with bits of bacon in. So that's a very bad carbonara to start with, and it should never have any cream in. So a classic carbonara is really, you cook your pasta, you crack a couple of eggs into it, which sort of barely cook with the heat from the pasta, but they do, and you put some bacon in and some pepper, and maybe there's a hint of garlic in there somewhere, but that's it. Like, it's a very simple thing. So this is like next level. So you start off frying some 3 types of meat. So you want smoked pancetta, non-smoked pancetta, and then a kind of a cured prosciutto. So quite a good one is like maybe San Daniele or something like that. Maybe not Parma ham, but you go for Parma ham if you like. So you are frying those, right? And they give off a bit of fat, and that's so you're doing that in a pan. And then you add to that stock, chicken stock. Sorry, chicken stock. So enough to kind of cover that, and you're going to let that concentrate a bit as you simmer that away, and then you shred a bunch of some green stuff. So a kale works. What you really want is curly frizzy lettuce, which is quite hard to get, but kale is perfectly fine. So you've chopped that up quite fine, or put it in a blendery thing, but otherwise finely chopped, and parsley. So that goes in too, and then you just let that reduce. Salt and pepper, plenty of pepper, I guess, as well, because that is kind of a bit of a carbonara-y kind of thing. So yeah, in the other recipes as well, you'd always have plenty of pepper, even in the basics. Meanwhile, you've done your spaghetti, right? And quite nice is that bucatini stuff, which is bucatini. It's like, it's thicker and it's got a hole through the middle. It's quite nice and chewy. So you've done that. Then when the pasta's almost ready, you take it out and you cook it a little bit within this sauce that you've made, right? And there's no eggs in this yet. So you take that, and now it's like it's this rich, it's the stock and the meat, and it's a gorgeous thing already. And you put that on. Oh, and then you add some butter, and you add Parmesan cheese to that. So you get a bunch of cheese, and you let that sort of all sit, and you toss that all around, and then you poach an egg, 1 egg for each person, big egg, and you soft poach it. That's a whole other discussion. I'm a big fan of how to poach eggs properly, but I'm sure our time is limited. So you poach an egg, and then you put that poached egg on top, and it sort of sits there and does its last bit of cooking on top of the dish. It's phenomenal. It probably isn't remotely like an authentic Italian thing at all. But if you're ever in New York, go to Crispo's and order it. The other thing they do is this their garlic bread, which is like a trunk, like a slice of tree, of like a big thing of sourdough like that, and it's just completely soaked in garlic butter and put in some wood oven or something, and it's incredible. So anyway, that's the brown carbonara.
And are you going, is Showman going to Broadway?
Showman isn't, no. So I did Broadway. I was like one of the last shows on Broadway before it closed. I don't know if they felt, should we just give it a pause now? Derren's finished, just sort of, Okay. So I don't know. If there isn't, so that was called Secret, that one, and then if I'd like to go back at some point. It was kind of amazing. It is like you're a star out there, like in West End shows, you're someone doing a job, and out there you're just like, it's this bubble of thing around you, which is sort of quite nice for a little bit. So yeah, I'd love to go back at some point. It was nice.
Well, there you go. I'm quite sure if this goes out, Crispo's you'll have your own table at Crispo's.
I expect at least,
at least
10% discount on the carbonara.
Of course.
Yeah.
I recommend Ivan Ramen. That's the one I'd recommend.
Ivan Ramen. Oh, it's a restaurant, is it? Okay.
Yeah. If you watch Chef's Table on Netflix, it's season 3, episode 3, I think it is, and his story is beautiful. And he's a New York guy, went to Japan, and he realized that the ramen thing that other people weren't doing was the noodles. He just was like, why aren't people making their own noodles? So he made noodles, and he became the #1 restaurant in Japan, the #1 ramen restaurant, this New York guy. And so I read this story, and it's a beautiful story. It's a really lovely, touching about his wife, who's Japanese, and all this kind of stuff. So I went there, and I took Sid. And what was really funny, when they sat us down, I looked up, and on the left was a two cartoon frames. One was of Batman and one was of the Enterprise. And Sid, at that time, was filming Gotham, playing Batman's mentor, and obviously had been in Star Trek. And we were like, what the hell? This is crazy. And but the Japanese fried chicken there, that was, and it didn't disappoint. The food was amazing. We tried one of everything just to get its flavour, and all three.
I shall go.
Going, oh, it's amazing, and it's not expensive. It's not expensive. It's like $20 for a main dish, and the only thing is you have to book a couple of days in advance because it's quite small. And I mean, I hope it's still going through COVID and stuff. But yeah, Ivan Ramen, amazing stuff.
I'll go, and if they have pictures from like my Channel 4 shows on the wall, I'll immediately text you. So that this is a
yeah. I'll just he's coming. Put this up there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That's amazing. That's a really amazing recipe, and I'm sure people are going to sort of jump on the back of that. And another one, which is this is very specific, and I like it when it's specific. You've got sourdough bread from the Dusty Knuckle Bakery with good butter and a little sea salt.
Yeah, I mean that's it really. So, where I used to live in, it's a bit of a shout out for the Dusty Knuckle Bakery, but where I used to live in Hoxton. There was a cafe I used to go to called Friends of Ours, just around the corner, and they sold as loaves and served the most phenomenal sourdough bread, like nothing I've had. In particular, potato sourdough that I didn't know was a thing. So it's made somehow with, it's not like chunks of potato, but it's made with potato in there somewhere, and it's quite phenomenal. So I really kind of fell in love with this bread. And actually, one of the reasons when I was thinking about whether to move out of London or not, one thing that was keeping me back was specifically the bread, which I since found out when I then spoke to them and said, look, can I get this delivered? Is that mental to try and get bread from you sent to me? They said, well, it's from this place called the Dusty Knuckle Bakery. So the Dusty Knuckle Bakery is in Dalston, which is not far from Hoxton where I live. I've never been. I've since spoken to the guy that runs it. And also I found out that they are, I think the people that work there, or a percentage of people that work there, or maybe everybody that works there, is are people that have, I think they've either been in prison or they've had some sort of experience like that where they've basically sort of been excluded from society. And this is a kind of a great sort of way of bringing people back in, which is a huge bonus. But was a sort of a thing absolutely out of the blue. So I sort of helped spread like a Kickstarter thing that they did. But aside from all of that, the bread was absolutely to die for. I think they do like loads of other stuff as well. But anyway, this bread is phenomenal. And I know this all sounds like I'm trying to plug. I'm not. It is just amazing. But anyone should try it. I sort of got into this thing of just having basically toast and butter like that. That was sort of my lockdown thing. When it wasn't the pasta, it was toast and butter.
It was that
with a little bit of salt. Like it's a real. So you have nice, really good bread. Any butter, I guess, really. But I was trying to look because I really started to take it seriously. I found some nice butter, and you want to sprinkle a bit of sea salt on top. Now that's a delicious thing.
And is it now delivered to you?
No, it's not. It's not at all. I just haven't had this bread for ages. But if I go to London, I always buy some. Another thing I nearly put in place of this one is, but it was a bit like Italian foodie again, is Parmesan cheese and red wine. So you get a really good Parmesan cheese, and you sort of, you have chunks of that. So it's normally when you're preparing food anyway, but it's a really good, you've got to get the good Parmesan that's like slightly kind of crystally, and red wine. That's a really good snack. And it's Christopher Walken's favorite snack. Now, I won't do the impression, but it's tempting.
And did he tell you that directly?
He did. No. At
that dinner party?
He told us me directly via an article in the Independent or something.
Right.
I think he was asked for his favorite snack. And I thought, oh, really? So I tried it. And it is kind of...
And he's right.
Combination made in Devon.
Well, I'm going to wrap up the taste, which has been just amazing. It's been amazing taste. So what I'm going to ask people at home now is, so of the three Derren has suggested, we have the extra dry martini with a twist, we have the great Italian food with friends, and the sourdough bread from the Dusty Knuckle Bakery. Now, one of those is Derren's number one, his top choice. What you have to tell me is which one that is. And now we will move on to another category.